All right, let's dive into this one.
Yeah.
The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway.
Sounds good.
I'm excited for this one, especially
Yeah.
since you send over that Wikipedia article.
Right.
So
Yeah, good place to start, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
definitely a good starting point.
Yeah.
So we're looking at Hemingway's last major work before his death,
Oh, wow.
published in 1952.
Okay.
And
Mm-hmm.
it was a huge success when it came out, right?
Yeah. Instant success.
Won a Pulitzer.
That's right.
Even got a shout out during his Nobel Prize acceptance speech.
I mean, yeah, that's how you know you've made it.
Right.
You know, when they're
That's like you're up there and
mentioning your book when you're getting a
Yeah.
Nobel Prize.
But here's the thing.
Okay.
Over time,
Mm-hmm.
the critical reception's gotten a bit complicated.
It has.
Some would argue that it was overhyped at first.
Right.
So is this book, The Old Man and the Sea,
Right.
a timeless classic year? Or is it just a well-told fishing tale?
Right. That's a good question.
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
I'm into it.
So,
So I think what's really fascinating about this novella
okay.
is that it presents this, like,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly simple story on the surface.
Okay.
But then when you kind of, like, dig in a little bit,
Right.
it invites us to consider these, like,
Mhm.
pretty profound questions, you know?
Yeah. All right. So,
It all starts with Santiago,
okay.
our aging Cuban fisherman.
All right. So our main character.
Main man, yeah.
He's Cuban.
Cuban fisherman.
And he
And
does.
he's hit an 84-day streak of bad luck.
Oh, no.
So
That's not good.
he's considered Salau.
Salau.
Yeah, yeah. And it's not just a word.
Okay.
It carries this whole weight of being cursed
Uh,
or unlucky, which, impacts how the whole community sees him.
okay. So
It's
it's
not
still
just like, oh, he's having a bad streak.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, no, there's something wrong with him.
Right.
His young apprentice, Manolin,
Mm-hmm.
isn't even allowed to fish with him anymore because of it.
Oh, wow.
That's how serious it is.
So he's got this
It's bad
reputation, this dark cloud hanging over him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So we've got our underdog
Uh-huh.
battling against fate.
Bam.
Day 85, he hooks this massive marlin,
He does.
bigger than his boat.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
so I remember when I first read this, I was
Yeah.
like, finally, Santiago catches a break.
You think he's turning it around?
Yeah, but knowing Hemingway,
Oh, yeah.
I bet it's not that simple.
You're right to be suspicious.
Oh. This is where Hemingway's skill really shines.
Yeah.
The struggle to reel in this marlin
Yeah.
becomes this epic test,
Okay.
pushing Santiago to his limits.
Oh, wow.
Physically, mentally.
All right, so it's more than just
Oh, yeah.
a fishing trip now.
This is more than just a fishing trip.
This is like a
This is a battle for his soul.
full right.
He's out there for days,
Days.
battling not just the fish,
Right.
but also exhaustion,
Oh, man.
ogre doubt.
Yeah. That's rough. And he wins, right?
He
Yeah.
wins. He manages to harpoon the marlin,
Okay.
but the victory is short-lived. I think you mentioned earlier there's a cost.
Yeah, there's got to be.
Right.
There's got to be a cost.
So Hemingway's sharks attack on the journey back, devouring the marlin.
No.
Yeah,
All that work for nothing.
pretty much. Yeah.
So he's just left with nothing.
Until only a skeleton remains.
Oh, wow.
So he returns defeated, really,
Oh.
with just the bones as proof.
Man.
It's a powerful image, and it makes you wonder, like,
Yeah.
what was it all for?
Right. What was it all
Yeah.
for? So we've got this adventure story
Mm-hmm.
on one level, but I'm curious
Yeah.
about the deeper meaning.
Okay.
You mentioned Hemingway was going through a tough time when he wrote this.
He was.
So could his personal struggles be reflected?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hemingway was dealing with bad reviews for his previous novel,
Really?
Across the River and Into the Trees.
Wow. Okay.
And there was a lot of personal turmoil in his life at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting, though,
Okay.
that despite these challenges,
Yeah.
The Old Man and the Sea seemed to just flow out of him.
Really?
He wrote it in just 6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, almost like he tapped into something profound,
Wow. Yeah.
It wasn't a struggle.
It just came out.
Yeah, like it just poured it out of him.
So it's not just some random idea he came up with.
Well, I mean,
Right.
you're thinking of the story Hemingway's Cuban guide told him years earlier
Yes.
about an old fisherman's struggle
That's right. That's right.
with a giant marlin.
Yeah.
That's definitely a key piece of the puzzle.
Okay.
But add to that Hemingway's own deep love for fishing in the Gulf Stream.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And you could see how these elements combine
Right.
to create this captivating tale.
So it all came together.
Yeah, and the public loved it.
They did.
I mean, The Old Man and the Sea was a smash hit,
it was.
record sales, Critical acclaim. Everyone was talking about it.
That's amazing.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering his previous struggles.
That is ironic.
Quite a comeback story.
Yeah, quite a comeback story.
But I think you said that those tides of opinion started to shift eventually.
Yeah, didn't they?
They did.
They did.
While those early reviews hailed the novella as Hemingway's best, a return to form, some critics later began to question that initial fervor.
What were they questioning?
Well, they were asking, was it just relief that this book wasn't as poorly received as his last one?
Oh, okay.
Had the praise been exaggerated?
Inch.
And they started pointing to things like repetition in the writing.
Oh, okay.
And seemingly simple style.
Right, right. Yeah, so The Old Man and the Sea wasn't just smooth sailing after all.
Not exactly.
Does that debate about its place in Hemingway's work continue today?
Absolutely.
It does.
And that's what keeps it relevant, I think. It challenges us to kind of go beyond the surface.
Right.
And consider different interpretations.
So is it a simple adventure?
Yeah.
A profound reflection on humanity?
Right.
Or something in between?
Exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and we can't ignore the deeper layers of meaning that Hemingway wove into the narrative.
Yeah.
Like, take Santiago's name, for example.
Okay.
It's not just a random choice.
Okay.
Santiago is Spanish for St. James, the apostle.
Oh, right.
Who was also a fisherman.
I remember learning about that in school, but it never really
clicked.
Yeah, it never really clicked.
Well, it makes you look at Santiago's struggle in a whole new light, doesn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
Is he achieving this Christ-like sacrifice through his suffering? Is his unwavering fight a reflection of faith?
Okay, yeah, I see.
Hemingway certainly gives us a lot to cheer on.
He does.
And then, of course, there's that famous line, a man could be destroyed but not defeated.
I've heard that one.
Right.
Yeah.
This seems to be a recurring theme for Hemingway.
It does.
But it feels particularly powerful in The Old Man and the Sea. Would you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But is Santiago really unique in embodying this idea?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one we'll definitely explore further as we dive deeper into this complex
and
fascinating novella.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So
yeah. I always find it so fascinating how Hemingway just uses these seemingly simple details to hint at deeper meanings.
Yeah.
Like, why does Santiago dream of lions on an African beach every night?
It's interesting, right?
It feels so out of place in a story.
Yeah, definitely.
About a Cuban fisherman.
It's one of those details that begs for interpretation.
Totally.
What could those lions represent?
Well, what do they represent?
Strength.
Okay.
Pride.
Yeah.
A yearning for a different life.
Right.
You know, Hemingway doesn't spell it out for us.
Right.
Leaving it open to our own interpretation.
I love that. It's like a little puzzle.
It is, yeah.
Within the story.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of puzzles, I read somewhere that you can figure out the exact dates.
Oh, yeah?
When The Old Man and the Sea takes place.
You can, yeah.
It's based on a seemingly insignificant conversation about baseball.
That's right.
Really?
It's hidden in plain sight.
Wow.
Sartiado and Manolin.
Okay.
Talk about Joe DiMaggio.
Okay.
And the New York Yankees.
Uh-huh.
And if you cross-reference that with historical baseball records.
So you got to do a little research.
A little bit, yeah.
You discover the story takes place over a few days in September 1950.
Exactly.
Wow, that detail really changes how I see the story.
Does it?
It's like Hemingway's grounding this epic struggle in everyday reality.
It makes it all the more compelling.
Yeah.
It does.
There's another aspect we haven't touched on yet.
What's that?
The environmental interpretations.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's making me rethink the whole man versus nature idea.
It's a complex issue.
Yeah.
And one that modern readers are particularly attuned to.
I can see that.
Some critics would argue that the book glorifies a harmful dominance over nature.
Okay, interesting.
They point to Santiago looking the marlin so far out at sea, knowing the struggle it will create.
Right, right.
So there's a question of whether there's a hubris in his actions,
a
sense of pushing too far.
And then you have the sharks devouring the marlin.
Yeah, almost like a punishment.
Yeah.
For Santiago's ambition.
That's one way to look at it.
Right.
But others argue that Hemingway is actually highlighting the interconnectedness of humans and nature, the balance we must strike.
Yeah.
Santiago talks to the marlin.
He does.
Even apologizes to it at one point.
He doesn't see it as just a prize to be conquered.
Right. He sees a worthy opponent.
Yeah, almost like a brother in arms.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a sense of respect.
Yeah.
Kinship, even.
So it's not a black and white issue.
It's not, no.
Hemingway invites us to think about our own relationship with nature.
Absolutely.
The choices we make and the consequences that follow.
Right. It's a conversation that's still relevant today.
Definitely.
Maybe even more so.
You're right. We can't dismiss those concerns.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even a classic like The Old Man and the Sea can be viewed through a different lens as times change.
Exactly.
And while we're talking about relationships,
okay.
Well, we haven't really explored the bond between Santiago and Manolin.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That dynamic feels crucial to understanding the story.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
On the surface, it's a classic mentor-student relationship.
Okay.
Manolin is young, eager to learn from the wise, experienced Santiago man.
Yeah, but I always felt there was more of a father-son vibe between them.
That's a common interpretation.
Really?
Especially since Manolin's own father disapproves of Santiago, forbidding him to fish with the old man.
So Santiago steps in, filling a void in Manolin's life.
Yeah, they share stories.
That's sweet.
They look out for each other.
It's a beautiful connection.
It is.
And in a way, Manolin represents hope for the future.
He does. He's the one who promises to fish with Santiago again to keep his legacy alive.
That's a great point. Even in defeat, Santiago's spirit lives on through Manolin.
Exactly.
It's a hopeful note at the end of an otherwise somewhat tragic story.
Right.
I'm also curious about the word Salau.
Yeah.
What are the cultural implications of that term?
That's an insightful observation.
And how does it affect Santiago's perception within his community?
Well, the term Salau in Cuban culture carries a heavy weight.
Okay.
It's not just about bad luck.
Right.
It's about being cursed or jinxed.
Oh, wow.
This label affects how people perceive Santiago.
Okay.
They see him as someone to be avoided.
Oh.
Someone who brings misfortune.
So he's like an outcast.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it really adds another layer of depth to his character.
Definitely.
And the challenges he faces. And it makes Manolin's unwavering loyalty even more meaningful.
Absolutely.
He sees beyond that label and recognizes the true worth of the old man.
It's a powerful testament to their bond.
It's amazing how much depth and symbolism Hemingway packed into this seemingly simple story.
I agree. And that's precisely why it continues to resonate with readers today.
Right.
It's a story that stays with you.
Yeah.
Prompting you to ask questions and find your own meaning within its pages.
I like that. Yeah. It really is a story that makes you think.
It is.
Which is what I love about good literature.
It sparks different interpretations and conversations.
Yeah. And I feel like we could go on talking about this forever, but
for sure.
We should probably wrap up.
Probably should.
But, you know, for someone who's maybe not picked this book up in a while or has never read it at all.
Maybe never even heard of it.
Yeah. What would you say
to them?
Yeah.
I think The Old Man and the Sea is one of those books that could be appreciated on multiple levels.
Yeah.
You can enjoy it as an adventure story, a meditation on the human spirit, or a commentary on our relationship with nature.
Right.
There's no one right answer.
Yeah.
No definitive interpretation.
I like that.
Hemingway gives us a lot to unpack.
He does.
And leaves it up to us to grapple with these ideas.
Yeah.
To find our own meaning in the story.
So you can enjoy the thrill of the fight between man and nature. Ponder the
religious parallels.
Yeah. Or explore the themes of courage and perseverance.
Exactly.
It's almost like the book evolves with you.
It does.
It might speak to you differently at different points in your life,
right,
depending on your own experiences.
I think that's the mark of a true classic. It transcends time and place, offering something new to each reader, each generation.
So true.
The Old Man of the Sea is a testament to Hemingway's ability to take a simple premise, an old man, a fish in the sea,
right,
and weave a tale that resonates deeply with the human experience.
If you're looking for a book, that will stay with you.
Yeah.
That will challenge you.
Sure.
And inspire you.
Absolutely.
I highly recommend giving The Old Man and the Sea a try.
Couldn't agree more.
You might be surprised by how much this seemingly simple story has to offer.
Yeah, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
I think so too.
We've explored the plot, the historical context, the rich symbolism, the compelling characters, and some of the critical debates surrounding this enduring novella.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, but as you said earlier, this is just the beginning.
It is.
There's always more to discover, more to interpret.
And I love how the book ends with Santiago dreaming of lions on an African beach.
Such a great image.
What a perfect place for our listeners to start their own exploration.
I think so too. What do those lions symbolize for you? What resonates most deeply with you from Santiago's story?
That's a good question.
Let those questions be your guide.
Yeah.
As you delve into the rich world of The Old Man and the Sea.
Happy reading, everyone!